Most impulse purchases do not start in your wallet. They start in your attention. Before you buy the thing, something has usually already bought a few seconds of your mind. That is why a package can feel irresistible before it arrives and strangely ordinary after it is opened. This video explains why people buy things they do not need, not because they are simply irrational, but because shopping turns tiny cues into powerful wants. The first mistake is thinking a purchase begins when you decide to pay. Often, the purchase begins earlier, in the moment one object wins your attention from everything else. A logo, a texture, a discount, a familiar shape, or a perfect product photo can become a cue. A cue does not need to give you pleasure immediately. It only needs to make your brain lean forward. And this is where the hidden split appears. Wanting is not the same as liking. You can strongly want something before you know whether you will actually enjoy owning it. The wanting can be loud. The liking later can be quiet. Many purchases are not just about the object. They are about the imagined life attached to it. The product whispers a future, more organized, more attractive, more confident, more in control. But once the object is real, the fantasy has to survive contact with ordinary life. That is why shopping can feel better before the purchase than after it. First, the cue captures attention. Then, attention becomes anticipation. Scarcity makes the anticipation feel urgent. The product no longer feels like an option. It feels like a closing door. And once wanting is active, the next question becomes simple. How hard is it to stop? When you pay with cash, the cost is visible. Something leaves you. But with a tap, a saved card, or one-click checkout, the cost can feel strangely quiet. This is the pain of paying. It is one of the psychological breaks that helps you feel the trade-off. Modern checkout does not always remove the price. It removes the pause around the price. Every step that used to make you reconsider can become invisible. Split screen. Left side, counting cash slowly. Right side, thumbprint confirmation instantly completing a purchase. The easier the payment feels, the less time your doubt has to speak. This does not mean cashless payment magically makes everyone spend more in every situation. The effect depends on context, price, timing, and how visible the cost feels in the moment. Sometimes, especially with smaller purchases, the mind is not focused on losing money. It is focused on gaining the benefit. But the principle is still powerful. When the payment becomes less felt, one important break becomes weaker. Then comes the next layer, other people. Social proof can turn a private impulse into something that feels validated. You are not just asking, do I want this? You are asking, do people like me want this too? In e-commerce and live commerce, social signals can make impulse buying stronger because they reduce the feeling of risk. The number of signals matters, but the quality of those signals matters too. 1,000 strangers can create pressure. A few trusted people can create permission. The product starts to feel less like a random desire and more like a reasonable choice. This is the architecture of modern wanting. The product catches your attention, the image creates a fantasy, the payment lowers resistance. The crowd makes it feel safe. And after all that, the actual object finally arrives. Sometimes it is useful, sometimes it is not. But the strongest part of the experience may already be over. Seeing it felt like possibility. Wanting it felt like momentum. Buying it felt like closure. The strange part is that the product can disappoint you without the process feeling disappointing. Because shopping does not only sell ownership, it sells the next moment of wanting. And the loop can restart before you have even used what you bought last time. This is not a story about weak people losing control in isolation. It is a story about old human mechanisms meeting a shopping environment with less friction than ever. Every part of the page has a job: attract attention, shape desire, reduce doubt, and make action easy. The most important moment may not be the click. It may be the second before the click, when you still think the desire is fully yours. Because often, the object is not the whole purchase. The imagined self is part of the purchase too. And imagined selves are easier to sell than real usefulness. The final twist is simple. The purchase often happens twice. First in your attention, where a cue becomes a want. Then in your cart, where the want becomes a transaction. By the time you pay, you may not be deciding from zero. You may be finishing a story that already started. So the question is not just, do I need this? The better question is, what made me start wanting this right now? Because people do not just buy products. They buy cues, fantasies, relief, and permission. The thing you bought may be new, but the wanting began before you ever touched it.